So, if you're trying to invest into Pokemon right now, and maybe you're looking at Scarlet and Violet and you're seeing all of these restocks we've been getting recently, maybe you're being a little bit cautious buying right now because you don't know where prices are going to end up. You don't know if they're going to reprint more. I'd go back to Sword and Shield. There's a lot of stuff happening with Sword and Shield, which honestly, I'm very surprised we're seeing some comeback with Sword and Shield because recently I've talked about it. It seems like the market has been sort of cooling off, but Sword and Shield, as you know, Scarlet and Violet, we've been getting all these restocks and some stuff has been dipping in price. Sword and Shield is making a big comeback, and just in the last few days, prices have been really moving. There's been a higher volume of sales, and some of these products are literally going to skyrocket overnight. And the first one I wanted to talk about here is Fusion Strike. Really, if you can find any Fusion Strike boxes, clean ones for 500 or under, I'd probably not wait on it because these are going to hit 600 seemingly pretty quickly, just based on the supply we have here. And we're just going to go through some of the other boxes that I see that are worth picking up, in my opinion, and how the prices and sales have been moving on those. And we'll also check out eBay to see if there's any deals or anything you can find cheaper than market price. So first here we have Fusion Strike. Now, when you look at the graph and the chart, you can see just in the past few weeks, there's been a lot more sales volume. And just yesterday, for sold, you can see lowest listed here is 515 bucks. Market price, it says 495, but when you look at recent sales, they've been higher in the 530s. So this is a little bit inaccurate, but I want to show you guys the supply here for this box. There's really not that many before you get to 600 bucks. It jumps very quickly. And here's what I mean. You can see just on this one frame, pretty quickly this jumps to $600. So let's just count. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 12, 17, and then you're at 600. Now, obviously, 17 boxes comparative to sales volume, it's going to take a little bit of time, maybe a few weeks, but you never know. Some days 5, 10 could sell. You don't know. And then prices may change very quickly. Obviously, when prices go up, more people will list. I get that, but Fusion Strike just overall, especially you'll see on eBay, there's not much out there. If you can find any just locally, I'm telling you, 500 or under, I really think is a great pickup right now because on eBay you can't even find them for even really low 500s. So there's just not much going, out there for Fusion Strike booster boxes. There's not really much supply, and it seems like we're gonna hit 600 very soon, which I'm very shocked for Fusion Strike. But it's made a very strong comeback, as you can see here, since prices have dipped. Look how quickly it's gone back up. So Fusion Strike just seemingly is very strong. The Gengar is a very obviously like very popular alternate art from Sword and Shield, and things are moving very quickly with Fusion Strike. This would honestly, out of all these, probably be, if you want a middle higher end box, probably be one of the ones I'd be picking up first if you can find them for a good price. Now, when you go on eBay, and this is where I'm trying to show you guys that there's really not much out there. There's really nothing on eBay that's cheaper than the lowest listed right now on TCG Player. One box for 545. Here's a box for 540. Box for 600. Box for around market price 600. There's a bid going on right now for this one, 500. But these are all in like Netherlands and Canada. This one is in the UK. But you can just see in general, there's a lot just for 600 bucks. So there's just no discounts on eBay, which when I look at TCG Player and I see those are the cheapest ones listed compared to eBay listings, in my mind, that means there's not much supply out there. Because usually eBay, you can find a little bit of some deals, but you cannot find that with Fusion Strike boxes. And therefore, if you can find any for around $500 or under, I'd be picking them up. Now next here, Lost Origin. Lost Origin still a very strong set. The Giratina is still very strong. However, Lost Origin, there just seemingly is a lot of supply of these booster boxes. So Lost Origin is a good pickup, but it's definitely not one I would say you'd have to jump on like maybe Fusion Strike. There's just a lot of supply out there. But you can't see just all of these have had really strong comebacks in prices recently, but you can't see these have been pretty stagnant for a little bit of time. For the past little bit, they just sort of been really not doing much. And here you can see what I mean. There's a bunch of supply. You go on the first page, it's still around 400. You go on the next page, still around 400. You go on the next page, it's still around 400 bucks. These are not going to go up really anytime soon, in my opinion, compared to maybe Fusion Strike. You can see sales volume still pretty consistent. At least two to four get sold every single day. But it's going to take a while for these to go up, I think, further from where they're at 400. So this one, you could probably wait on a little bit and focus on maybe some Fusion Strike or some of the other boxes I'll show you here. But Lost Origin definitely still a great pickup, but nothing to worry about in terms of, I guess, in the next few weeks that they're really going to go up. Now, when you go on eBay, you can find some for a little bit, around market or a little bit cheaper. 390, 410, 420, 420, around 410, around 400. So you can just see there's a lot more listings for Lost Origin compared to Fusion Strike, and therefore it's not something I'd worry about buying, I guess as soon as Fusion Strike. The next tier is Chilling Reign. Chilling Reign has been making a comeback recently. They were super cheap for the longest time in the very low 300s, and now they're climbing back to 400 bucks. When you look at the supply for this box, you can see there are, not a lot, but there's a decent amount of listings under 400. There's 1, 2, 3, 15, 17, 20, 21, 23, 24, 27, 28, 29, 30. So there's 30 boxes until we hit 400 bucks. Look at sales volume. It's not going to be overnight. This is another box. You probably don't have to worry about too much skyrocketing anytime soon, but it is worth noting that it has been going up. Now it's back to 360, and it's 30 boxes until at 400, which is a good amount. So not something I'd be like worried that they're going to just go up in price and go crazy overnight. This is similar sort of to Lost Origin in the way that there's just a decent amount of supply, and especially for Chilling Reign, the sales volume just really isn't there. Chilling Reign it had a moment of being like super hyped up and people saying it's an underrated set, but ever since then it just seems like it hasn't been as strong as like Lost Origin or Fusion. So yeah, this is one of those boxes on eBay you can find for decent prices. There's a box here for 350. There's a box here for around 360. There's one here for 360. There's one here for 345. There's just a lot of listings for Chilling Reign boxes where you can find them for under market, as you can see here. So if you want to find a clean box, look around. There's some deals out there that you can look at on eBay for a little bit cheaper than TCG Player, and you can maybe find some good deals on here. Now next is Silver Tempest. Now Silver Tempest, it's almost at 300 bucks. This has really gone up. Silver Tempest, I really think the Lugia is going to push this set to be stronger than Astral Radiance. I didn't bring up Astral Radiance here. I don't know if it's gone up as well, but you can see right now, lowest listed is $293. You can see it's been moving past day. You can see here 8 sold, and you can see just how quickly prices move when just one day, a few more boxes get sold. Look at this price jump we're seeing here. So these here will hit 300 kind of in no time. You can see there's 4, 5, 11, 12, and then we're basically at 300 bucks at this point. So it's really not that many. Could be a few days, could be a week, and then we're hitting 300. Now after that, there is seemingly a decent amount of supply at $300. So it's probably gonna take a little bit of time to go to 400, but they have been moving back up to 300. Or I guess I don't think it's ever actually 300. I don't think it's ever hit 300. So it's pretty much at its all-time high right now. Now if you go on eBay, you can see that there are some listings under market or lowest listed now at 290. There's a box here for 280. There's a box here for 280. Box here for 290. So there are some deals you can find for some of these boxes. And I've always talked about it. If you can find the same price on eBay and you can actually see the picture of the box and look at the condition, I'd just buy that. But there are some listings here for around market on eBay. Now, lastly here, Brilliant Stars. Brilliant Stars. I think Brilliant Stars. It's really weird. There just seems like it's always been like a decent amount of supply of Brilliant Stars on the market, and it's gonna like sit at 300 bucks. Because if you look at the supply, there's a bunch at like around 300. I guess they kind of sold out because I remember there being more. But on the first page, I guess we can count because I thought there was actually more here. There's 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 boxes, and then it starts to jump up to the mid 300s. So maybe this is possibly another box to look into, because it's around like 10 to 15 boxes until it hits the mid 300s. So if you can find any deals out there, just any of these Sword and Shield boxes, I'm telling you, are really good pickups. Yeah, Brilliant Stars seemingly there's not as many as I thought at 300, maybe because the past few days you can see 12 boxes sold this day, 9 boxes sold this day. So I think people are buying them out. So that's probably why I thought there was more, because they've been buying them. Now when you go on eBay, you can see you can buy them for the low 300s, but there's not really any like really good deals out there. There's one for 316, but it looks kind of messed up. 325. There's just not that many. 340. That's in the UK. 400. UK 330. So there's just not many, as you can see. And any of the boxes that you find here on eBay where you can't get like it under market price of TCG Player, to me is an indication that prices are going to move up even further. But the boxes like Lost Origin, for example, and Chilling Reign that you can find under lowest listed of TCG Player under market price, there's more supply out there. So just to summarize, if I were you guys out there trying to buy Sword and Shield stuff, I'd first focus on Fusion. If you want a more higher middle like tier booster box, Fusion Strike 100%. Find any good deals, $500, like locally, anywhere like that. I'd buy them instantly. Um, Brilliant Stars would be another one, since like looking at the supply and stuff. And recently, like boxes have been selling like a decent amount every single day. Probably Brilliant Stars would be another one. And some of the other ones to think about maybe is Silver Tempest. Lost Origin 2, but Lost Origin I don't think is really going to go up anytime soon. And Chilling Reign, I guess. But I'd really be focusing on Fusion, in just my opinion, because those boxes are really moving, and it seemingly is going to hit 600 in some soon time here. So just want to update you guys on Sword and Shield. Things are really moving, and it's surprising, like I said, because this market, at least for like ultra modern stuff, they have been dipping down. Restocks and everything, price has been going down, but Sword and Shield is prevailing and it's going up in price. So that's all I want to talk about here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.